Welcome back, YouTube. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the recent uptake, something we discussed in our last video, something we were looking for as far as forward to happen, and that is Doge retesting this 382 mark, right? So that's this green candle you see here, the last couple, and it looks like we're using the 14-day because if you watched the last video, we're talking about the golden cross here between the 14-day, this yellow line, and this red line, the 200-day. And it's looking like we may be actually be in a position to use the 14-day as support as we go and retest. Now, I wanted to make this video because as I talk about this video, sometimes as we have like back here and around like September 26th, we got this golden cross initially. That wasn't the immediate gratification as far as having that huge run up. It went up to around the 200 and then had to come down and grab some liquidity before we went ultimately higher. So I wanted to make this video to just kind of reiterate the saying that it's not always a immediate jump, even though that appears to be the case here. It appears that after we did like this retest and had the golden cross here, it appears to be staying true to that signal here of a breakout. So just kind of want to put that out there, and then also for perspective, just in case that let's say it does not close above this 382 and then we go into like the next zone, or if it continues sideways here. Again, there are many examples that that's not like the end of the world. So I'm just kind of putting this out there, saying that it's not something to panic about, because it's not something that has to happen immediately. But this overall, like I said in my last video, this is a strong signal. We have not had a 14 crossing the 200 in roughly a year. I want to say a little over 11 months. So this is almost happening year to date. I think the last time this happened was November 2nd of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So this is certainly a signal worth paying attention to, which is why I made the original video. So that's ultimately what we're looking at here, just to kind of give you a forecast. If we break above the 382, we close here. This zone here, though it is small, so from around, what is this, 1442 to, you want to say 1606, 16 cents. Though it is a small zone, roughly around 2 pennies, it is a gap zone, right? So volume is typically very high in this zone, whether it's going up or down, right? You can take a look at, for those of you that follow along, take a look at June 7th of this year, May 20th. You can see here, these are bigger candles here compared to the wicks being bigger than the candles here. Seeing that the asset is being pushed around a lot around the 382. Once you get into above the 382 zone, the moves are more decisive, right? We have some smaller ones here, but ultimately these candles are typically bigger, right? You can take a look on May 4th, the candle that pushed us in on May 3rd. Huge wick here, so also pushed down here, but they were trying to close us below it, right? And actually got a push down to around 13 cents, but you see where we closed at, back up in the zone at around 15.22. Again, the original run up, these are all larger candles, so it's something really to kind of keep an eye on here, because certainly this is where this zone gets filled relatively quickly. And then we ultimately, the next stop would be where something that we've bounced around quite a bit, and that's around that it's 18 cents mark, right? And then at that point, we'll open up the conversation and start talking about where to from there, and start looking into the 20-cent range and above that. So that's kind of what's next on the agenda here. So ultimately, what we're looking for going forward is a closure somewhere in this zone if we don't fill it completely. Again, that depends on a lot of things. I do believe we have some macro events coming up, i.e. the election. That's going to play a bigger part. I do believe once we possibly see some volatility around that time, but I do believe once we start to see some deciding information as far as for who's going to win, I think that's going to play a big part in when the liquidity comes into the market and how much, and also from who. I think all of that's going to play a big role as far as for liquidity coming into the market. But as for right now, we are seeing some strong signals. So it's something to kind of look forward to just see if we're going to close at least in this zone. Again, it doesn't have to be a God candle or anything, but certainly if we can close inside of this zone, this is going to give us an opportunity to open up the conversation about a run to around that 18 cents mark, and then possibly a retest. Because if you look here, back in May, we had several attempts to break above that mark, and we just could not do it, right? And we were getting up there. This is what I was talking about. We were getting close to having that signal here. The 14 merged into the 72. It was looking beautiful. And of course, we got the rejection here, and it merged right out of it, and then we started that downward trend. But the important news is we did not give up all of the gains that we had from the original run up. So that's one of the things that we're looking for, as well as setting higher highs and higher lows, just to make sure that we're not giving up all of those gains every time we retest and run, ultimately signaling that we have the opportunity to go to a higher level. So those are some of the things that we're looking for when we're checking out these charts. So obviously, another major factor is going to be liquidity coming into Bitcoin. So that's something as well. Please do not ignore the liquidity coming into Bitcoin. But this is beautiful as well. We see Bitcoin may possibly be doing something similar, as in using the 14-day as support. So that is really great. It means that we can start to see some price stability going forward here. And obviously, this is an upward trend. So if we're using that as support, this gives us the opportunity to retest and stay at a higher level, ultimately keeping liquidity in the market and raising some of these other coins that we're looking at. If you're looking at like Ethereum, Doge, and stuff like that, it's going to be able to attract additional liquidity in the market without, spreading panic of another downward test. But Bitcoin has done remarkable. It's maintained this top level of Fib here. So it has been able to kind of keep the theory of the bull market, kind of like that fake out that we had earlier, but the bull market staying true to a 4-year cycle. It's been able to keep that alive by being inside of this higher tier zone here. So ultimately, this is something that we're looking for. We have the 14 crossing the 200 back here on, what is this, the 16th? A major signal, and it's much stronger than the one that we've seen. And this is the one that can possibly send us to a new all-time high in Bitcoin, thus bringing in that money and pushing, the raising tides rises all boats. Rising tide raises all boats, excuse me. But this can give you an idea of the power of the liquidity coming into the market. If we have to keep an eye on is this 72, which is this orange line here, crossing this 200, which is the red line here. This is they're narrowing the gap a lot here, and this is very good when it comes down to having to go up and retest this all-time high. So just kind of keep an eye on this here. This can happen at any point here in the next week or two. So that's something to keep an eye on, because this can be a major signal flash here for the trend, and can be predicting some stronger moves to the upside here, because this is going to benefit everyone in the crypto space, especially going into the election side of things, since we can have some volatility again, depending on what those polls are saying, and that's going to have heavily influence volume and money coming into the market. Overall, this is very good. We are looking fantastic. We'll see where this candle closes here. We'll report back, and we'll see where this candle closes, and if we're able to kind of break into the zone, and then we'll see the strength of the move, because that's ultimately what I am I'm interested in seeing. And when we close above this 382 mark here in the Fib, I'm looking to see how strong this move is in this zone. I want to know if we're just going to close there, that's fine. Then we'll just pick it up tomorrow. We'll pick it up and with the next candle and see where we're going to close, or if we're going to have, it's going to be a stronger movement here, and we'll just kind of be able to go and retest that around that 16 cents mark. Or if we have to wait before liquidity comes into the market, and we're waiting on that 72,200 from Bitcoin, and then we're able to get some bigger candles, like we did earlier in the run here, and then go and retest some of those higher levels. So something to keep in mind. We'll see where this candle closes, and then we'll pick it up from there. So if you found value in this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys in the next video.